Kids are spending even more time on their screens, and doctors say this time of year can actually accelerate a growing health issue that we've been talking about for a long time now. Spinal problems in children and teens, including what's now known as tech neck. Dr. Michael Gerling is the founder and chief surgeon of the Gerling Spine Care and Research Institute. We say good morning, Dr. Gerling. I understand your voice sounds like mine right now.
Good morning, Ken. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, the two of us need to gargle, I think. We both have, it's that time of year. So I'll be your doctor, you be my doctor on this one. All right, Doc, I know during the holiday season, kids have more free time on their hands and they tend to spend it on their screens. So what are you already seeing in children and teens that is concerning you most about this?
Well, I think that we have for a long time been concerned about the posture of our children and how important it is just in general for self-esteem and for overall appearances. But in recent years, we're finding children complaining more and more of difficulty with pain in the back of their neck, more and more pronounced slouching and forward flexion of the upper back, which is likely related to the posture that they use when they're looking at their devices. And now that children are found on average spend about 6 hours a day on their devices, it's more and more evident that something needs to be done in order to intervene on a more structured, programmatic basis to help them.
And of course, with the holidays, Hanukkah right now and Christmas coming up next week, a lot of kids are going to be unwrapping new phones for the holidays. So what should parents know? What do they need to talk to their kids about if that's the case?
Well, I think it has to be a cultural approach, not just the parents, but also the schools, the pediatricians, even structured programs that children can be exposed to that'll educate them to have good habits. Things like micro breaks, in other words, to every 5 to 10 minutes, look up and actually sit upright. There are things that can physically help children remind them to pull their chest back and sit upright, but also just teaching them proper mechanics, holding the phone in a position that perhaps keeps their head a little bit more neutral rather than flexed forward, and also teaching them exercises that strengthens the back of their neck. So I think that this has to be a real programmatic approach at the school level. The pediatricians, the parents all need to work together in order to try and help children have good habits.
Doctor, I'm just curious, you're an orthopedic surgeon by training?
Yeah, I'm an orthopedic surgeon and I specialize in spine surgery. So I do spinal reconstructions on people.
I asked that only because I've been living. I mean, I had a neck fusion. I live with my orthopedic
Right.
surgeon is like on my Rolodex. We've been friends for years, and I'm always having to go to him for issues separate from this. But as a result, I know that when I use my device, I find myself doing this too. And I have one of those strap things to keep my chest back to
Yes.
kind of remind myself to do that. I'm
Mhm.
58 years old though. I started later. What about when these little kids, 9, 10, are starting doing this? That can only
Mhm.
lead to some bad stuff by the time they're in their 20s.
Of course, and we call it remodeling. When parts of the body are accustomed to certain forces, of course, those parts of the body adapt to being in those positions. They will mold and sort of strengthen ligaments in certain ways and tighten ligaments in other ways. So the real point is to try and teach them to have a neutral posture at the outset, which will reduce forces on the different parts of the spine and reduce the chances of having arthritis when they get older.
And at what point should parents seek out an orthopedic surgeon or so that it doesn't sound, when we say orthopedic surgeon, it sounds so daunting. Orthopedist. So at what point should they seek out an orthopedist? Maybe their child is scoliotic. I mean, there are a lot of things that they could have issues
Mhm.
with their spines. So what point should they come see you?
I think that when there is significant concern of any sort, you should first consult your pediatrician. Orthopedic surgeons will see you and be happy to see you. I mean, I'd be happy to see children in my office that really are not responding to regular cues, such as, postural reminders. If they're having pain, of course, that is the first sign that there's something that's abnormal in the, happening, some type of mechanical problem. Of course, if there's obvious deformity, one would be concerned. It's not just curvature. Scoliosis is when the spine spine is really curved in the frontal plane. But you can also have flexion of the spine, and there are some disorders that are associated with that. So if it looks dramatic, certainly ask a professional. I would count on a pediatrician or someone to have a general screening. But if you are concerned, just make an appointment and come in and say hello to us, and we'll try to help.
It's a good thing, not a bad thing to have a relationship with an orthopedist like yourself, sir, especially a great one like yourself. What is your website, Dr. Gerling, for more information?
Yeah, it's girlinginstitute.com, or if you looked up michaelgerling.com, either way, it's the same URL will get you to find us, and we're happy to give you feedback and certainly make an appointment if you need it. We do telemedicine too, so if that helps, people don't necessarily need to leave the comfort of their home.
Well, we appreciate you. And it's Dr. Gerling, Gerling, Dr. Michael Gerling, founder and chief surgeon of the Gerling Spine Care and Research Institute. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. Happy spine to you, sir.
Happy holidays.